1917. There is a war in Europe. A young man, a student at the institution, together with his friends, decides to support the army of his country, which has been at war for 3 years. Personally, it seems to me that this picture is really worthy of our attention. It reflects war as well as behavior in it, which is always bloody and unfair. However, if a person were not drawn to kill, there would not be all the reasons why armies, alliances are created and conflicts occur. Perhaps there would not be a need to fight. Along the way, you can see a large number of different types of weapons that were used during the First World War, both by French troops and the features that the German army had. For example, the moment when the Germans very carefully select a gas mask and expect gas attacks is very striking. Despite all this, the Germans themselves improved this type of weapon very well, and accordingly, they were well prepared to defend themselves against this type of attack. The director seems to be trying to show us not only the fate of young people, he is also trying to show the conflict itself from a third party. He himself gives it a certain assessment, but at the same time, the possibility of looking at the film from different angles remains, and that is why I think that this picture was shot well enough. There is also a very cool moment when they show how the French begin to use tanks, and at some point the Germans are shocked. But with all this, as the battle progresses, they find a way to resist in such an unequal battle. Against the guys, they use grenades, thus disabling the tank tracks. The French are better armed, they have much better food, at least that's what it seems. No, it cannot be said that the Germans have absolutely bad equipment, or that they have noticeably worse weapons. Initially, the guys think that the war will be fun, just like a walk. But once they find themselves in the ranks of soldiers and walk through the wet trenches, they begin to understand the essence of what is happening. There are no jokes here. The Germans have a heavy machine gun at their disposal and rifles as well. The idea of the command is to send fighters on grueling assaults with artillery support. Of course, at that moment there was practically no armor provided for the infantry, only natural obstacles and trenches. Further, the French are demonstrating a tank in action, Saint-Chamond, one of the first tanks in the world. The war is going on with varying success on each side, while both sides suffer heavy losses. At the same time, we are seeing how the diplomatic corps is trying to find the most acceptable outcome for itself. As the Germans retreat, they use hand grenades against tanks. In new positions, the French use flamethrowers against soldiers in the trenches. If we take into account the lives of many soldiers, they believed that they were useful and therefore showed their patriotism. Be that as it may, the main character's friends and comrades die before his eyes. The negotiators of the two sides, French and German, meet on the train. The French are angry at the Germans' position and insist on a ceasefire. It should be noted that in this situation, the French have the initiative, because by using new types of weapons, they were able to push the Germans back a couple of miles. The politician Matthias Erzberger on the German side, played by Brühl, was convicted and murdered in 1921 by nationalist radicals. At the same time, the film still reflects Erzberger's peacekeeping mission. German General Friedrichs, having learned about the situation, intends to go against the agreed agreement. We are shown a situation that is extremely typical for many Eastern armies. Finding himself in a difficult situation, the general decides to take it by surprise and show extreme integrity. Disgruntled soldiers are selectively placed against the wall and shot. There are only minutes left before the truce begins, but the army is in a hurry to make a push. At exactly 11 o'clock, the war ends. The party stop killing. Unfortunately, it's not always possible to make videos regularly on the channel. I will be glad to see your likes.